Tonight, I'm welcoming filmmaker Karla Duarte. She's based in San Diego. And right now, she's talking to me from Mexico, correct?
Correct.
How are you? Everything is okay?
Yes, thank you so much for the invitation, Sherif. It was very nice to get your email.
Thank
I'm
you.
doing great. We're changing scenery because we've been in COVID lockdown for quite several months. So we decided to come down to Mexico. My parents are Mexicans. They have a house here, so we decided to kind of come and visit them, keep our distance, but be with family.
Yes. And I was looking at your CV. You studied in San Diego criticism, correct?
Yes, I started art history and criticism at the University of California, San Diego. It's been a while, and one of my favorite classes was cinema, interpreting and analyzing cinema. And I think that was kind of like the door that took me into this realm of filmmaking. I always loved cinema. I can tell you that since age 16, my best friend and I would get together and go to what used to be very popular back in the days, the blockbuster video shops where you would go and rent your videos. And
Yes.
I remember they had like a small section of cine de arte, like international film. And it was just an anxiety to go in and see if you can find something new. And once you would find something, you would be like, yes, Cinema Paradiso. I'm going to look to Paradiso Cinema tonight. And it was just this very kind of like nerdy thing to do. But I think led me to my getting my bachelor's in art history, to learning the all the symbols behind the visual symbols, the visual language, and the
Mhm.
power of storytelling.
Yes. And I remember at the time, and still is, few cinemas in the States put foreign films. And
Hmm.
I know as well, maybe still the problem that a lot of American audience wouldn't like to see films with subtitles. I know it's used to be like a habit and often discussed in the media. And after your graduation, what did you decide to do?
After graduation, I thought I didn't grow. I grew up with a family of that like music. So, and my grandma used to love art. So for me, kind of like the know-how of what to do with your art career was like, yes, you sing, then you go to a symphony, or you do this, or you play the piano, you get uh, art classes, whatever, music classes. But for me, it was kind of like very traditional. Like all that I knew was art history. You go work at a museum. So for me, I immediately went to work for museums in San Diego, and I was kind of like the international liaison between San Diego and Tijuana because of the border town, the proximity. So I would get, the press releases in English, and then I will translate them in Spanish, so we can get an audience from the border coming to the museums and promoting the art exhibits and all that. So it was mainly marketing, and I did really liked it, but I was really into bringing the arts to the community. So after 5 years of working at museums, which for me was kind of like uh, I was working in the arts administration. I never worked in curatorial. I had experience in curatorial, and it was fascinating. But to work there, you had to have a PhD minimum, and I was just getting out of university, my bachelor's. So I decided to kind of learn how to promote the arts and bring the arts to the community. And after 5 years, I decided, you know what? I think I'm just gonna leave the building, the structure of the museum. I'm just gonna literally bring the arts out to the community. So I identify community at risk. They call it at risk communities, where there could be like gang or like violence or any social issue that could affect the flow, the harmony of the community. So I did identify a Latino community mainly populated by Mixteco, which is an indigenous group from Mexico, from Oaxaca. And I decided I'm gonna bring cameras, I'm gonna bring art tools, and I'm gonna teach them. I'm gonna exchange dialogue with this community. And I what happened is that I connected with a school, and the principal used to work at a museum. So we connected right away, and I say I want to bring art to create dialogue, social dialogue. Is there any way we can use your one of your classrooms after school? And he said, yes, you got it. What do you need? So it was, these things in the US are very hard to do because you have to have insurance to work with kids, kind of like open up the doors. He got me right into this classroom. And my friend and I converted the classroom into a stop motion animation studio. And the program basically was three parts. The first part was connecting with this audience, like what are their social needs, what are the, have they have interaction with the arts, what experience they have with the arts. And it was fascinating that it was very dense in their preoccupation. Like there were very overloaded with social issues in their community, and never had the experience of the arts. So the balance was like this. So we tried to leverage that, create some social dialogue, and then slowly transition to the creative process. And it was a fascinating program that lasted for approximately 5 years. It was titled Girls Camera Action.
It was easy for you to get funds for 5 consecutive years?
Well, the funding was really interesting because at the beginning it was out of pocket. It was kind of creating this little fundraisers here and there. So we partner up with the Museum of Photographic Arts, and we approached them and said, we are working with this community. This community has never been to a museum, never had an experience using the camera or the arts. Can we work with you guys? And at the end of the program, the semester, working with these girls, can we just bring what they created and exhibit it at the museum? And they say, yeah, sure, you can. We have a cinema inside our museum, so you can showcase whatever film they did. So that gave us the opportunity to really go back to the girls and motivate them and say, hey, if you put all the hard work in this project, you're gonna be able to exhibit your work in the big screen. So they were really excited. They didn't believe it. It was kind of like an abstract concept. So we did a tour to the museum. And when they went to the museum and saw the big screen, they were like in awe. They were like, oh yes, I want to be here. I want to exhibit my work. So it was interesting because these girls that we were working with, they were dense in social realities that they were experiencing at home, like domestic violence, immigration issues, separation of family. So very, very heavy in what was happening at home. So when we met with them, it was kind of like a place where they can just forget about their reality and kind of connect with the arts. So what we did, the age group was between 13 and 12 and 15. And they're in the age of like, I don't want to be in front of the camera. They were very camera shy. So I proposed, let's do stop motion. Let's do a character, a puppet that you can animate. You can bring life to the puppet, and you guys can create the script. We'll teach you that. You create the background using color paper, and all the techniques that can go into having fun with paper and puppets and photography. So we taught them from script writing to storytelling to building, to making a puppet, to puppet making. We used paper, so we were doing paper puppets, a variety of clay and paper, and then we use a 3 rig structure where we can have the background, the middle ground, and the foreground with the camera on top. So it was just fascinating because the girls had completely control over, you know, setting setting the background and all the art elements. So it was really fun to see them in action and being able to, you know, stay supervise the work without having them to say, no, don't do that, the camera, or don't do that, you're gonna mess up. It was just, it was very girls let free and led to their creation.
Yes. And tell me, after 5 years, what did you decide to do later on?
So we got fun. So later on, the group, the got funding from private sponsors, private money, and then government, and then this was like really nice because we felt like we were in a solid base. We were like, okay, we can continue on and do this thing. And all of a sudden, it hit me. It hit me because I had a particular experience with a girl who had like a catharsis, just doing puppets and script writing. She was like literally crying in front of me, and I couldn't do anything at that time. You know, as an art historian, I'm like, I mean, I know that arts can be powerful, but the intervention as therapist, it was really hard. So what I decided to do is Girls Camera Action merge into established nonprofit organization. And I told my partner, you know what, I have to buck up. I need to go back to school. Girls Camera Action is gonna be absorbed by this bigger vision organization called Animate Away, and you're gonna lead the way while I go back and study. So then I went back to school to get a master's in expressive arts therapy. And for me, that was really powerful because I was able to reconcile the arts. Yes, we know that they're powerful in our own space, but literally to justify it and to create the scientific backup of why the arts are important. So I graduated as an expressive arts therapist last year in 2019, in January 2019. And during my program, I proposed to my teacher, I want to do my thesis in the healing power of filmmaking. And she's like, that's too broad. You have to focus. But already when I proposed my teacher, I was already doing my next documentary titled Tune In With Your Inner Sound. So at that time, I kind of saw the big picture of what was I trying to do with filmmaking. I was coming from the social background, like yes, the arts to create social change, and then I'm jumping into therapy, and I'm like, okay, I think I can add another layer of complexity to this. So social change and personal development, and and I started working with women and mental health. So that journey was really personal and at the same time very rewarding because I was able to kind of take what I really love, which was the arts and filmmaking, and also learn a little bit about the human condition. And that documentary in particular, once again, you know, you do your crowdfunding campaign, you have people excited, your community excited, supporting your work. We got some private donors, small, you know, this was supposed to be like just a thing for my master's, but later on it turned out to be a good product, and then festivals were requesting it. So that was kind of like the cherry on top. But the process was really rewarding on a personal level and on a community level because we showcase a beautiful scenery of Baja California, where the state where I live, which is beautiful vineyards and beautiful landscape, dry landscapes with the contrast of the ocean. And then 45 minutes from this beautiful landscapes, you have the urban chaos of Tijuana. So this comparison of the urban jungle and the beautiful landscape, just that juxtaposition of like sound and noise and how that plays in our in our lives and also in our psychology. And then you can go deeper and deeper into, you know, how it plays in our soul. And you know, So I got really hooked on exploring deeper topics on the human condition through through filmmaking, through documentary filmmaking. So right now I'm working on my third. It's still in the gist of pre-development, but really excited. Once again, going deep in the human condition, and I think it has the elements of what we're dealing with today during pandemic.
So tell me, how did you deal with this COVID thing? When you started to pump up in the news.
When COVID was announced, like two weeks after, hold on, 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after the announced lockdown, I was working at a psychiatric hospital. So my role there was to bring expressive arts to the patients, and it was a really beautiful experience. But this was a county hospital. It was the city, the city's hospital. So hospital was never going to close. At that time, the schools closed, and I have two daughters, and of course, they're gonna need a teacher. And all of a sudden, I became a teacher, and I had to take a decision of going back and forth with the hospital or just staying home and teach my kids so they can finish her semester. In the meantime, I'm also trying to think about how I'm going to do this documentary, because we got the grant December 2019. So 3 months later, I'm already brainstorming. Okay, I have the grant. I need to start thinking logistics, everything. So there were too many realities, unexpected realities happening at the same time. Okay. So being a teacher was it's not my cup of tea. I'll do it, but it's hard. It's really hard, especially when your mindset is dealing with like what's going on in the world. Like how, I have a movie to do. Are there kids going back to school in a couple of months? And as you learn the news, the reality was telling us, this is gonna be possibly for a year, but this can, anything can happen, anything can, work into your benefit. So hopefully we're gonna be free in June. We're in July and things are not looking good. So COVID and filmmaking. It's been a good time to reflect, to deeply reflect and to master things that I knew how to do on the surface. Now I'm going deeper on, okay, production, what type of insurance do I need? Why are they coding me just that? I need to go deeper and understand why they're coding me. So it's kind of like asking the hard questions on production and really trying to master everything. So when we're ready to go and shoot, hopefully soon, we can maneuver and also understand, like, okay, how COVID is gonna play during production, because it's still a reality that's hitting all filmmakers. So we're trying to be creative, open, and trying to master the discipline. So we don't worry too much on like the hiccups, but because it's too much stress, just considering the fact that we're still trying to produce during pandemia. So we're trying to get that stress out of the production, like, oh, how do you do that? Or what do I need to know? Or, oh, I didn't look at that before doing production. So we're just trying to get the nitty gritty to leverage a little bit of the stress, understanding that pandemia, it's all an element that we don't have control. So going into shooting and facing some hiccups, we can just be a little bit more control on production and just leverage with whatever's going on with this situation.
Excellent. So I wish that next year we can see your film and we can see screening in different festivals. So good luck.
Thank you.
And good luck with your family, of course. And I will be. I found your personal Wix site and your profile on Film Freeway as well. I'll be happy to post it when we publish this interview. So let's keep in touch, and I hope everything will be better for cinema and for humankind, you know, in the coming months.
Definitely, definitely. I also think so too. I think I was listening to a director, and he said that our work as artists is to spectator to hell, but then we have the responsibility to bring them outside of it. And I think that's kind of like an interesting feeling as filmmakers or artists or creative people, even if you have it as a hobby, is that you're pushing the limits, you're pushing the the uncomfortable, and we're going through the uncomfortable to understand it better. And it's I think because we're passionate about the work, we are not afraid of facing the controversy or the ugly or the not so beautiful. So we can continue understanding, and then eventually, if life and our ability, our skills allow us, we can present something that it's worth watching and preserving.
Thanks a lot, Carla, and let's cross our fingers for better a better tomorrow, like they say.
Definitely, definitely.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah, take care.
Take care. Bye bye.